Hello, everyone. Welcome to a podcast unlike any other. We are the Smith Brothers. My name's Porter,
I'm Ryan.
and we have a very interesting story to tell. This podcast, why is it locked? There we go. This podcast is not just a saga of unbelievable twists and turns, but it is also a world-changing and impactful endeavor we are about to go on, telling our story, where we came from, what we came up against, what we're doing about it today, and where we're going.
Are you talking slow on purpose?
Oh, yeah. For effect. See, we've never done a podcast before, so there's going to be a lot of getting used to doing a podcast. We've definitely told our story in many settings, but bear with us if we talk slow, if, there's technical things that you experience, or just our general appearance or demeanor. We will try and talk fast. Sometimes I want to talk slow just so you can have time to receive what is said. So bear with us. Turn it on 1.5 speed or 2 speed if we're too slow. But anyway, we're the Smith Brothers. We are in the food business. We have a sauce company called G-Sauce. We came from another brand called Bitchin' Sauce, which you may have heard of. Bitchin' Sauce is a household name in America. It is in almost every store out there. It is an almond-based dip that is, today, we call it Bitchin' Slosh because it has changed since we left that company. But that's where we came from. We've been in the food business for over a
15
decade.
years?
Yeah. And we want to do a podcast. And why do we want to do a podcast? Well, a podcast is the best way to broadcast our story. We've told this story face-to-face for the last decade, or, or in small groups we've told this story. But this is the best way that you can hear us genuinely, without real edits, just dump this information out there. And so that's part of why we're doing it. We're based out of San Diego. This is our facility where we make our sauces. This is kind of our new office. We just built this out this last summer of 2024. We're not here to talk just to talk. This isn't
We're not trying to scrape for subjects.
No. We have plenty to talk about. We just did another podcast, really our first podcast ever, where we skimmed the surface on our story and talked for 3 hours. And we realized that we have a lot to say, and it's all good. And we're going to need not just a season of maybe a dozen podcasts, but we're going to need multiple seasons of podcasts. This could go on forever. I mean, it's an ongoing story. The story is...
It's currently developing.
We are in the middle of it, which is great because, it doesn't end. I don't think this ends.
The story?
No. It just keeps going and going and getting better and better. I have my notes next to me, so if you see me lean over here, that's what I'm doing, is looking at a couple notes. This is a very purposeful conversation that we are going to have with each other. I'm going to be asking my brother questions. He will ask me questions to pull out these nuggets of wisdom that we have gathered, over the years. This is also, I want to say this is also a great place to have an open door conversation with the Bitchin' Sauce people.
Totally. Absolutely.
And I invite anybody from Bitchin' Sauce, if you hear your name in this podcast, I invite you to come, sit down. We will actually bring in a third-party mediator, kind of like, a referee that would listen to every side of the story. And we're very interested with every side of the story because the more truth that we can discover, the better.
Absolutely.
The freer that we're going to get.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, wide open invitation to
come and chat with us.
Yeah, anybody. I will tell the story to anybody. If you have a podcast out there and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, dang, I have some questions for these guys. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are the exact opposite of me. I will tell you my story. So
that's great.
Yep. So our G sauce is basically the 2.0 version of our original product. Bitchin' sauce is an almond-based sauce that it's kind of like a hummus, but it's not. There's no beans in it. It is vegan and gluten-free and dairy-free, and we use it for dipping or spreading or smothering. That's what this type of sauce is. And Bitchin' sauce was the first one to really make it out into the marketplace as a packaged food. Our G sauce, the 2.0 version of this, is absolutely incredible. We have redone our original formula with Bitchin' to make it without seed oils, to make the shelf life unbelievable, where we can actually ship this stuff unrefrigerated anywhere in the country. If you haven't tried G sauce before, or if you even haven't tried Bitchin' slosh before, to be familiar with what we're talking about, don't even worry about Bitchin' slosh. Just come to our website and try the new stuff.
Well, you could go check it out on the shelf in the store and slosh it and see what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. But what's really interesting is that we are in direct competition with our old brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. That is, and it's not only our old brand, it's our sister.
Oh, snap.
It's our sister. And her husband and, husband's family, and even our own family, even besides our sister,
the extended family,
and family friends who have been sucked into the thing, which is, that's interesting. That's a wild story itself. In 2015, we left Bitchin' Sauce and separated ourselves from Bitchin' Sauce, not willingly, but some major things went down that we'll talk about in some other podcasts. But yeah, and still to this day, it's not, we aren't willingly okay with what took place with Bitchin' Sauce. And essentially, the product was taken from us. And so we were faced with a choice, and we willingly made the choice that we made in the moment, but it wasn't, the part that we weren't willing or approving of was it being taken from us.
Yeah.
And so...
details to come.
Yeah, there's more details to come. I'm just skimming the surface. But I think the most important part of it, is where we are now. This is a podcast that will be surrounding around our story. It will be surrounding around the lessons that we've learned, the things that are inspiring, the things that are, scary to self-preservation. There is loss and betrayal, and there is compromise, and there is also
secrets and lies.
Yeah, there's secrets, shadows, lies, but there's also righteousness, and there's also truth and tough, really good really great decisions that, you could think, wow, that's a tough decision to make because it's at the expense of self-preservation.
People thought we were crazy.
Yeah, people did think we were crazy, but, following the righteous path, we expect the righteous fruit, and that is the path that we're on right now.
Yes,
And
victorious.
So, yeah, a victorious path. And so the point of, telling our story, it's interesting the things that come up because we use our story in our marketing. Mm-hmm. We use our story, we're story forward in our podcast here. And, it's really interesting. The thing that people are most interested is where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
And
our story.
Yeah, they're interested in the story. So
and this particular podcast, we're just going to answer the question, why? Why are we telling our story? And why does anyone tell their story?
Sure.
But specifically, why are we telling our story? So there's a lot of details. You're going to hear some vague, skimming the surface on our story. We will definitely deep dive into everything we talk about today, but we just wanted to answer this first question on why we're telling it. In my notes here, I don't want to skip this part. The funny thing about this story is the backdrop of it being a silly sauce. Imagine Lord of the Rings happening in a bakery and not leaving the walls of the bakery. It's just such an interesting backdrop for an epic tale.
Yeah.
And I just, it's so funny that a sauce is, a couple sauce brands, few sauce brands are caught up in this story. But, the principles about what we're going to go through are, on an epic scale. They are world changing. They are family saving. They are, this is how you make decisions when problems arise, and we've done a good job with that, and that's why we want to share this. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to do it justice. We're going to be completely transparent with ourselves. Any wild claims we make will either be backed up with evidence, or we will make sure it's our opinion. There are some like he said, she said points in the story where to cover that aspect, there's an open door for anyone that I talk about, if something happened in private between those people, for them to come in and give their side of the story too. So all bases are covered, that you are getting our absolute best truthful information, and that's part of this whole thing. We want to be raw.
Yeah, raw and transparent.
Yeah. Scathing. We want to be dissected. We're here to openly lay everything out on the table.
Absolutely. That's kind of like the point of the question, why do we tell our story? Well, there is truth that matters, and truth sets people free. Truth sets us free. Truth sets you free. Anyone who's bound believing lies is captive, and the truth is the only thing that sets people free. And so that is why we're here, not only for other people, but also for ourselves. We open ourselves up to the truth, and we'll submit ourselves to the truth. And it's not about relationship. It's not about self-preservation. It's not about any of those things. It's about, what does the truth say? That way we can live free, And I will say, we have chosen this path, this truth path, even when being presented with moments of compromise throughout this story. We've been presented with a lot of moments to compromise and put selfishness and self-preservation before truth, and a lot of opportunities to go down the path of rot, in my opinion, and put ourselves in a prison. But we have chosen truth, and it has been a wild ride, and that's the parts that is the reason why we want to share our story. And
we're not trying to protect anything.
No, we're not trying to protect anything at all. Self-preservation is out the window.
That's really what this is about. It's about the battle between self-preservation and complete freedom.
Yes.
In self-preservation world, it's dog eat dog. It's the evolution story where kill or be killed, which is a loveless place to be, where anyone will do anything to preserve what they have, whether it's their relationships, or whether it's their company, whether it's their status in the public, or their celebrity, or their bank accounts. People will, and you will hear what people will do to their own family members to preserve themselves. And it is a loveless place. Where we decided to go with this, with our decisions, we're taking our new company, our new legacy, the generations that follow us, into the land of love, where self is last. We are here to serve each other and love each other. And
you're not here to be nice?
No, we're not here to be nice. The word nice keeps coming up in a lot of these correspondences that we have record of. This niceness, there's almost like a religion of nice.
Like, you have to be nice. Be nice.
Yeah, like make me feel good.
Make me feel good.
And if I don't feel good, I can do
We've got problems.
Whatever I want to you.
That's right.
And they have done whatever they wanted.
Sure. When it comes to us, we don't value niceness. What we value, again, is the truth. And a lot of times the truth is not nice, but it's freeing. And but it's also threatening to these self-preserved systems and things that have been built. It's very, very threatening. And so why do we tell our story? Well, I think you put it a great way. You said this the other day. We are hunting lies. And this is a story that's like, it's ever developing and ongoing. And even the other day, articles are being posted
New stuff every day.
Yeah, that aren't truthful, where there's lies mixed in it. And so we are hunting lies. And it's kind of easy because it's just like, listen, we're just going to shine the truth, shine as a light, and let the truth do the work. But we're hunting down these lies and just revealing the truth, openly, honestly, and it's really good. Like the issue with this specific previous company that we had, Bitch and Sauce, is it has affected a lot of people. There are a lot of people, from the customers who are buying it and getting in my opinion, it is a subpar product from what it was originally designed to be.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it resembled when we were a part of the company pre-2015. And the way I originally designed it when I was developing that product and making that product for years and years, until my sister and I launched it into farmers markets. So it's changed a ton. So these choices of compromise affect customers. The story of Bitch and Sauce in the beginning, it was built on this family story, this epic family that started farmers markets, and it was built on, wow, this family came together and scrapped it together and made it happen, came from nothing and went to something. And that story changed big time to the exact opposite of that. And there is, without revealing that to the public, they try to keep the same family story going, but it's so different. And when you look at it, we are wiped from history, or trying to be wiped from history. There's a lot of things that are hidden where we have full evidence and proof that existed. And so it's all very interesting things, and it's ever developing, and, new things are being said, and it's great.
Yeah, one of the values, well, we value truth. He said that earlier. The other thing we value is righteousness. And there's a great Bible verse for those of you who love the Bible or have never read the Bible. This is actually just a great principle, is seeking righteousness. And the verse says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, which is a higher righteousness than any of us can establish in the land. And and then all these things will be added unto you. It's like the self-preservation side of it, where you add to yourself, kill or be killed. This is the opposite of that. This verse says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things come automatically. And in our world, it comes in peace and love and patience and things that you can't buy with money.
Hope.
But in that in that whole category of all things, it's also money, and it's also the recovery of what you want, the recovery of people and friends and family members. It's a full picture of prosperity and health that God has set up, and it's the exact opposite of self-preservation world.
So in light of righteousness, that's kind of like what we're following. And so when we see unrighteousness, and we know the truth and can reveal the truth, we're going to reveal the truth.
Yes.
And so this very specifically applies to, it hits home, closest to home, number one, because we have a brand that competes with a previous brand that we owned that our sister runs. So that's a very close to home thing. And we have a bunch of family who are wrapped up in the twisted story and the twisted truth. I think what's going around right now, or what keeps coming up in occurrences that we've heard, is that what happened with Bitch and Sauce, it was just a misunderstanding. And so that's what people are told, and it has a misunderstanding. It's like if they actually cared and started like prodding and going for like, what was the misunderstanding? You and I, we understand. Show me what I don't understand, because I very clearly have facts, and I have the truth, and I have all these things that I would like to know what I don't understand. If the misunderstanding is with me, who's the misunderstanding with, And so it's just this very vague, escaping, kind of just reasoning off.
It's hard to nail down.
Yeah, it's hard to nail down. It can slide and slip. And
change completely.
But a lot of our family has been sucked into this, and we've been forced. When I say forced, this circumstances have arisen with us and our previous business, and it's spread out to family and friends where we actually have to make a decision. There's actually a line, and there is a decision, and righteousness is the factor that is the divider.
Yes.
The righteousness of God is the divider. And what's so interesting is so many people value over the righteousness of God other things. Like, I think one of the big ones that we will talk about in other podcasts is relationship. They're trying to preserve relationships. I think that probably is the biggest one. But relationships, I think money plays a role in there. There's a lot of things where people will compromise to try to preserve something because they want to be nice, and nice equals loving in their world. And the reality is, no, truth is love.
Yes.
And the righteousness of God is love. And that may not serve your self-preserved house of cards very well.
Yes. And, God is pretty specific when he says, correct people and reprove people.
Yeah.
And, part of our story is that it didn't start publicly like this. It started in, a room, one-on-one. And then when that didn't work, it grew to, having more people come in on it. But it's gone through stages. We're not just jumping on publicly here without doing our loving duty to, respect somebody who might want to say they're sorry and change.
Yeah.
This is just the natural course of God's way of going through the process.
Yeah.
So we're at this point where it's public. Again, open invitation. Come talk to us.
What's interesting, though, is like, telling your story publicly, because some people think it's like, they tell us, just focus on your product, don't tell your story publicly. Like we had some, I don't know, we might have read one recently. There's been a few that have come in, and you made a great point the other day. If that's true, focus on your product for a business, as a business owner. If that's true, I just focus on my product, I shouldn't talk about my story, then that person who said that should be talking to Bitch and Sauce and saying, you shouldn't tell any story. And to, all these other brands, anyone who posts their story of where it came from.
Focus on your product.
Focus on your product. Don't tell your story. And it's like, it's, kind of hypocritical.
Well, yeah. And the point about our story is
Our story touched a button, though.
Yeah, we drew a line in the sand. And, most people, when they hear our story, they have to understand what a line in the sand is. And a lot of people don't draw lines in the sand. So when you see somebody drawing a line in the sand and standing for something, it might make you uncomfortable because you might have to make a choice. And, most people sweeping things under the rug. That's what our family did for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what most people do. In ours, we kind of call that out. And so that makes people uncomfortable to hear our story. And, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, focus on your product. I'm not interested in this stuff. What they don't understand is that the story is our product. It is our number one product. And the sauces that we make are just the rounding out of the full experience, and the, it's what actually kind of probably brings understanding and clarity about our story. Because the quality of what we do, the love that's in it, people can understand what I'm telling. I mean, you can hear my words, but you could feel and taste and see with your eyes that I know what I'm talking about, and I practice this, and it's in my product. And that's funny enough, when we left Bitchin' Sauce and it turned to Bitchin' Slosh, that is the exact same thing I'm talking about. It's the reflection of their story in their product form. And and I think it's impossible. I don't think you can tell the story that they tell and still have care for the product and the customer and everything like that. It's kind of it's like an inward out effect. So I think that's really interesting. So why do we tell our story? I'm going to read some of these notes here. It's valuable. It's a valuable thing for us to do. We are going to add valuable content to the public, and it's going to ripple out into other fields of business. It's going to ripple out into family dynamics, disputes. People will hear this story and hopefully be led to peace and love and prosperity and
Righteousness.
and that's valuable. That's a very valuable thing. So that's why we're going to tell it. It's interesting to our customers. It actually brings people, into our everyday development, which, we're very genuine. We genuinely care about people. We're not just going to say a word and not back it up. So we're not going to say we love you and we care about you, but it's very hard to contact us in our company, or, our product is crap or whatever. We actually mean what we say. And so bringing people into the everyday development of this also is, it's interesting to our people because that is our product.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also, they would some of them, a lot of them previously have had an experience with our last brand. And so, many times customers are like, I knew something changed. I didn't know what was going on.
And I would say even in our last brand, the story was the product also.
That's true. Yeah.
It's the thing that, you can bring friends over and they can try a sauce at a party, or you can tell them about it and tell them it tastes good and tell them what it feels like and all this stuff. But a story is so much more shareable, and you can understand the full aspect. It's like a free sample is just to hear the story out there. So it actually moves a lot faster too.
Sure.
And what we've noticed is telling the story is, we have customers that are lifelong customers that haven't even tried our product yet.
Yeah.
And
just hearing the story.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, our story is, people love to hear it and people love to share it, and it is shareable. Not everyone gets to try our sauce, but everyone can hear our story.
Yeah. There's a point in why we share it that's, I think there's assumptions that people can make. You go through a major family split thing in business, and, even when you talk about family business, you hear, I think, a lot of the comments, just the natural comments, oh, that must be tough or difficult or whatever, just because people have a hard time working with family.
We're still in a family business.
I know. But, and then the response when the split happens, the words that come to mind, even a guy wrote an article on it recently. He used words like, bitterness and revenge and, those are those words, I just kind of want to clear the air, because I think people think that when we tell our story too, it's just kind of a natural way for somebody's mind to go, oh, you're just out for this. Our own family thinks this. I mean, we heard this from, our own mom said bitterness.
Yeah, we're so bitter.
We're so bitter, and all these things. And just to clear the air on it, because I don't connect with those terms whatsoever. I don't connect with bitterness. I don't connect with revenge, because these are not the things that are fueling what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That righteousness, the righteousness of God, is fueling the choices and decisions that I'm making, seeking first the kingdom of God and getting all compromised decisions, all things that are self-preserving, getting that out. And, it's like, even, with personal growth, it's like, reveal it in me so I can get it out of me.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the righteousness of God. And so when it comes to like bitterness or revenge or those things, this has to do with love for people and setting people free with the truth, and that alone, because people are bound by lies, and they are on very, very, very shaky ground, and this really is a rescue mission to redeem and bring people back into the light of the truth.
Yeah.
And to totally destroy evil.
What would it
redeem people?
What would it look like if we actually were bitter and revengeful?
We would have sued our sister in the very beginning, and we would have maintained control of Bitch and Sauce by force, and it would have looked way different than what it does now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even if it was all about selling product, we were selling a lot of product with Bitch and Sauce.
Yeah.
So we would have, self-preserved that if that was our focus.
Yeah. That's one thing that we will continually debunk with every lie that comes in, is, if I really felt that way, it wouldn't look like this.
No, it wouldn't look like this at
the
all.
evidence of our core beliefs is all around us.
Totally.
And if I was bitter, and I know this about you too, if we were bitter and revengeful, there would be, we would own Bitch and Sauce right now.
Yeah, there would be different fruit. For sure.
We're not that. We actually are the opposite of that.
Totally.
And it started with our first decision, which is, another podcast. Yeah, details to come.
The other thing I want to say is, this being, our story being also a story, like, I believe the greatest days are ahead for my family, for everybody who, we are, right now separated from in relationship, and all the business dynamic and all these things that are swirling around. I believe the greatest days are ahead for our family and everybody involved. I believe that the truth is going to set everybody free. And I believe that, our story really is in the hunting down of lies and the standing for righteousness and not self-preservation. Like, this is going to rescue people out of the clutches of evil, and it's going to really set people free.
Yeah.
And
Why are we waiting almost a decade? I mean, there's been spots of us sharing our story out there, but
in private mostly.
mostly in private.
When people ask.
Why a decade later are we doing this?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it was very hard for me to share my story or swallow the idea of sharing it, because it was implicating to people. It was still in process, not fully resolved. And when I tell my story, some gnarly stuff happened that some people did that they have not repented of, and still have not repented of, and it's still an undone.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're telling a story, you want to have
the
victory
the
resolution
conclusion.
at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
You
they're
don't
like-
want to start a story when
Exactly.
you don't know when it's going to end.
Exactly. And so, it's like, wow, when I tell this story, this could be really implicating and dangerous to a group of people who
Still have to make decisions.
They
Still have. They still have to. The story's not over.
Yeah, it's not over.
So it's not over for them either.
No, it's not
ongoing.
over for them. Yeah. And so it was kind of like implicating to the people, which is kind of uncomfortable. It's like, wow, I'm doing something in sharing my story and sharing the truth. This is threatening this group of people, and it does. It threatens them. And so that was a hard one to swallow at first, because it's not my normal, I come from keep the peace. I think the best of everybody. I'm pretty much, easygoing, but I've learned how to have loving, tough conversations and not sweep things under the rug. And really the thing that set me free to tell my story was I realized, God tells people stories in the Bible all the time and spares very little detail, or spares no detail. It's very raw and honest, and it is implicating to the people who are involved in these stories, whether they repented or didn't repent.
Who need help.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, and he's telling stories all the time. It's not about protecting this person and keeping this. Oh, you keep this family thing private. Don't air your dirty laundry, and there are bigger purposes and more valuable things. I couldn't care less if people talked bad about me, or I don't value that. I'm sorry. I've died to those things.
Yeah.
And so. My family and, everybody involved is so much more valuable to see people set free than to self-preserve. And, another thing in light of like bitterness and revenge is such a high price was paid for my own life, and everybody involved is the equal price that I am.
Yeah.
I am no better.
No.
I came from the same place, dead trespasses and sins. And so to think or be so arrogant or prideful and just disrespecting of what Jesus did for us, for them too, it would be a major error for me to think that I could be bitter or that would just reveal that I don't know the price that was paid for me.
Yeah, like you're smarter than God.
Yeah.
Because God's not bitter at you,
No.
no matter what you did.
No. So,
Isn't that funny?
So anyways, everybody involved is the price. And you know what? God went and is going hard at redeeming people to himself, and he spared no expense. And, being created in the image of God, I'm not going to hold back, for sake of fear or self-preservation or things like that.
Yeah. I think part of it'll all be talked about, but my side of the story, like what's taking me this long, I think that the carnal mind or the human nature, when you get when something like this happens to you and your family, it hurts. And the carnal mind, this is me in self-preservation world. Oh my gosh, I just lost, a legacy. And then being reminded of that in every store. And it was your face. It wasn't even my face. So you did a really good job with it. But going into every store and seeing the product that, for the past 5 years, I sacrificed major things with my family to build up this brand with Bitchin' Sauce, that hurts. And there was bitterness that was in there. Any natural man would have that. But over time and with a lot of, learning moments and God helping me to weed out bitterness, to weed out, revengeful thoughts, and look at it like God looks at it, like how you're talking about. God is not revengeful, and God is not bitter at anyone. What God is a loving Father that shows the way and gives you the ultimate patience. So it's a 10-year way for me. I mean, I'd like to think like within the first couple years I was over my issues, but I'll tell you right now, unless you think like God, does about the situation, you will think the other way. You will carry anger. You will carry bitterness.
Yeah.
You will carry secrets about how you feel, and you'll look like you're not like that, or you don't care about that. But secretly, you'll be really mad at God that something like this happened to you. And I know this has happened to everyone who's listening. There's something where you had a choice on how to think about it. Something adversely happened to you, and now you have a choice on how to think about it. And I will say the best way to think about it, and it's taken some time for me, is how God thinks about it.
Definitely.
And if I think any other way about it, like I just said a moment ago, I'm thinking I'm smarter than God because I deserve to think that way, and I'm right. Anyway, so that's why we're going to open up and talk about this story right now. It's taken some time, but what got us, talking about the story, like how did we discover like this is our main product? With me, it was at farmers markets, and with Bitch and Sauce Company, I was in the farmers markets for many years. I was one of the top booths there. It was celebrity status. Even outside the farmers markets, walking around downtown, people would call us out and say, "There's the Bitch and Sauce guy." So there was we had a great reputation going on. And for me to get back into the farmers market scene with G-Sauce, I started at a small booth in the corner. I look different. My sauce is different than...
Nobody puts baby cheese sauce in there.
Well, I was there. I worked my way out of it. But the things that I noticed is that people were very familiar with something about our booth. And it was like, oh, I remember this experience.
Yeah.
And it was the same experience that I was giving in the Bitch and Sauce days, but I'm doing it with a new brand. And they had questions. They're like, this is a lot like, that other sauce. I'm like, what sauce? Tell me. Tell me what sauce. You can say it. It's okay. I said it more than anyone else on planet Earth. Say the word. And he's like, Bitch and Sauce. I'm like, yeah. You want to hear a crazy story? I used to own Bitch and Sauce with my brother and my sister. Started it with them. And it just is so interesting that people, they're not even caring about what sauces are on the table. I mean, they're eating them as you're telling them the story. But yeah, I realized that people so cared about this particular story, and I realized why. It's because they're invested in it. It's not just a story where, here's my tale. It's here's our tale.
Yeah.
They've had Bitch and Sauce. Some of them may have been there since the beginning.
Sure.
Some of them currently buying it at Costco and loving it. Some of them currently buying it at Costco and wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And with everyone's investment into this silly sauce, there's interest now.
Yeah.
And I likened it to like the taxes that you pay. People care about where their tax money goes in this country, and people don't care about where Angola's tax money goes to Angola because they're not invested in it.
Sure.
So with this story, it's unique in that there's a country of people that a lot of them are invested already.
Yeah.
So I saw that. I would bring my daughter down to the farmer's market for just the experience of being out and about and commerce and teaching business lessons. And when she told her version of the story, I noticed people at another level. Like, this old guy's telling me this story, great, whatever. But when she started telling the story, people got riled up. People got
righteous anger.
Yeah, they're committed. They're basically signing up for the righteous army.
Yeah.
loyal.
Yeah.
Lifelong customers forever. They haven't bought their first cheese sauce yet. So what we actually did is I utilized my daughter's storytelling talents, which are innocent and just with kid words, and it's so great. And we use that in one of our ads that where we're offering free samples to anyone in America, and as long as they help us with shipping to get it there. Yep. But it's very story forward from the mouth of a child that was affected, that is currently in the story, and how she thought about it. And she did a great job, and we get compliments on, her greatness all the time. She gets
fan mail.
She gets fan mail, which is it's really cool. And I have teaching moments about, celebrity status and how to think about this, because it goes straight to her head sometimes.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's where the reignition of the story really started, and now it is rampant. It is through almost everything that we do.
Yeah, which is, it's really awesome. It's good because it's the reality. It's just the raw truth. It's the raw truth. Even Prize at the farmer's market telling the story.
Indisputable.
That is the raw truth. That's actually what's happening. And so you're living this by hearing the story. You're living what we're actually in process of living right now, and seeing it and seeing the, it's not this fluff piece of everything looks so good and all is well and all is right, and we haven't had to make tough decisions. We're just, hammering stores and just, winning,
so awesome.
winning every, it. I'm sorry, but that is just.
It's not genuine.
It's not genuine. It's not genuine. There's stuff that happens, and there are moments where you have to make decisions, and it's so interesting in light of the kind of the puff piece, and the story that Bitch and Sauce has carried on, which is, you guys should definitely go and read it. They recently
this is our, I even made a note about this part.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Which is,
do you want to say what
it's
you
a great
want to say
segue
first?
into it, but there's another story out there.
Yeah, being told.
And it is, we have been removed, erased from history in this story. Not
Why?
only that.
Why?
Well,
I know it's happening. That is happening. We are being erased from history.
yes, it is egregious. It is.
Why would that happen?
Why would that happen? We're going to answer all these questions, but, this is. No, I'm very excited about this. I am a lie hunter, and I see their version of the story, where my hand is erasing, Back to the Future, Ryan, our production guy, says, it's like Back to the Future where the guy's hand's erasing from the photo. We are gone from the photo. In fact, this lie of, our non-existence was recorded on their website. They actually just took their story down, but for the last decade, they have, they've posted a new altered story without the existence of 2/3 of the families that were helping them. They tell this story in their marketing, where you go walk into a Whole Foods and you're looking up and you're like, Bitch and Sauce, local, Carlsbad, 100 miles away. And then a caption over here, we put every family member to work. And there's a picture of most of the Bitch and Sauce family. My wife's in that picture smiling at me. And I and you are covered up with a graphic.
Yeah.
And this is after.
This is after the split
Oh.
and everything that happened.
So they have a happy family story. And you can see it in their marketing.
With our wives' pictures, smiling. However, it was a lie because Our wives are not smiling.
No.
And it's not putting every family member to work.
Oh, no. No. 2/3 of the people in that photo actually aren't a part of the company. And that's crazy. But when they covered our faces with a graphic,
That was the best.
they're praying that we wouldn't see it.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
I mean, I don't.
well, that's true.
I don't
Like,
even
don't
know.
that,
It's
but-
like, even. So my face was on Bitch and Sauce.
That's right.
My
Your face got wiped off.
Well, they had to. So yeah, like my face. I was the Bitch and Sauce guy. My face was used as the logo, and I was all over all of it, and we have proof of all of this. It's not told in the story.
No.
Because maybe their story is meant to sell product or being used to sell product, But yeah, they removed it, and they had to remove it.
Yeah.
And then we're just non-existent.
Yeah.
We don't even exist in the mix. I think I read on Google, maybe their Google listing, husband and wife, Star and Luke founded Bitch and Sauce. And I was like, Star founded Bitch and Sauce. But, what's interesting is Luke, her husband, he was offered, Star and I offered Luke ownership in the very beginning. And he denied it because he wanted to work on his music. And so he was an employee. He was not a founder of Bitch and Sauce. He could have been fired, as an employee. And you can't fire a founder, from being a founder of the stuff.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, that was very interesting.
Yeah, they have, their news story of them founding the company without us is plastered on semi trucks, driving around.
Yeah.
Where it has a picture of them riding bikes through an almond field and smiling and laughing at each other, and their signatures, and it says founder underneath it. These are all lies. We are going to expose them. Where else is their story? Let me look at my note. Publications.
Yeah, this is something that seems to be ongoing.
Yeah. So Bitch and Sauce is a super successful company. The momentum took them nationwide. They have, won many awards for being Bitch and Sauce, and they are in publications when they win awards, and. But what's so interesting is that, it's their puff pieces, their filler. There's actually very little journalism because of, no one's called me about any of these stories. But the lie basically gets told to these publications, and it just, gets fortified basically.
Yeah, it goes down in history as, we don't exist.
Yeah.
And this is where Bitch and Sauce came from.
Yeah.
And it's, we have evidence and all of it that it is not true.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So there's we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of
Love it.
A lot of articles to dismantle.
Oh, I'm going to.
A lot of.
Yeah, we got to talk to some journalists out here to actually do some journalizing.
Yeah.
Another place that this isn't recorded anywhere, but it's on the wind, and I've heard it, from coming in from different directions, is what they tell their own people.
Yeah.
And what they tell their own people is that there was a misunderstanding somewhere, and the people don't dare to ask where because they'll probably get fired.
Well, maybe. I mean, we haven't heard what the misunderstanding is.
Yeah.
And that was never told. I mean, that was never even told to us directly.
Yeah.
Otherwise that's, misunderstanding. Cool. That's easy to clear up. Let's just clear it up.
Let's clear it up.
Let's clear it up. Let's bring proof. And I mean, still to this day, let's clear it up. Come on in and let's clear it up and let's bring the proof and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And let's publicly show the misunderstanding.
Yeah. And if anyone out there,
I would rather be in the light than in the dark.
Yeah. And if anyone out there was told that this is a misunderstanding and prodded a little bit further and dug deep and got even more details like below that surface of misunderstanding, but like
Below the smoke.
learned what the misunderstanding was, please share that with us.
Yeah, that'd be
we have no idea what, who, when. We have, so that's something that we really want to discover. What is this misunderstanding that their own people are sharing with? And
not like they're sharing with their people, but their people it's working
well,
so far. But I mean, maybe with some of them, I don't know. Like, people seem to be fine with that answer.
people are fine with,
but they don't. Maybe they're fine with that answer and a job with the salary.
yeah, people don't, they don't gravitate to resistance. There's, I mean, we're going to powerfully resist. And
I got an email. Actually, no, it wasn't an email. I got an order from I forget her position. She's a family friend. She works for Bitch and Sauce. I don't know if she still works for Bitch and Sauce. I don't know what decision she made after the email that I sent to her. But essentially, she carries a higher role at Bitch and Sauce, and I saw her order some G sauce. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is interesting, and I reached out to her and I said, hey.
because she's our fan.
Yeah, she was a family friend of us too.
Yeah.
I remember, during Bitch and Sauce, she asked me if I would help coach one of her friends who was starting a business, and we all sat down for breakfast, and I had a meeting with them and such. So this is a person that I know, and family friend and all that, or was a family friend. But I sent an email saying, hey, nice to see you're interested in G sauce. Do you still work for Bitch and Sauce? And she was like, oh yeah, just wanted to try, G sauce. Mm-hmm. And so my next email was probably the best email. Mm-hmm. Basically, I just stated the truth and just said, hey, now you're without excuse. Mm-hmm. And I even invited her to grab Star and come and let's discuss this. And we'll bring in some third-party mediators. If you have any questions, invite Star to come talk with us. Yeah. We'll happily sit down and discuss this so you can get the full picture, because I don't think she cared about getting the full picture when she started. But I didn't hear back from that email.
Of course not.
I mean, it would be cool if I did, and people would want to actually come and sit down. Maybe she did ask Star to come and sit down. Maybe it was denied. I don't know.
Yeah, and if she wants to come sit down with us right here,
let's talk about it. Yeah, but those are the things we're coming across.
Yeah, and what
I would just want to clear up a misunderstanding if there is one.
Yeah, and
especially when righteousness is on the line.
Yeah. And wouldn't you think that if someone wanted to know the details of a misunderstanding that you loved, you would take the time to communicate that with them?
I think if you loved them,
yeah. Well, that's what we're going to destroy. It's like hunting lies, like I said before. I love the people. This family friend we're talking about, love her.
Yes.
My sister, love her, would give my life for her, did give my life for her. I have, it's not general love, it's specific love for specific people. And I mean, that's where I'm coming from. That's my base.
Yep.
I forgot what I was going to say after that, but I'm going to go back to my note here. Recently, this is a saucy nug. Recently, Bitch and Sauce took their story down from their website.
That's interesting.
Why do they do that?
Yeah, so we link people when we tell our story. We link people to their story so they can compare. Like our own customers, we're sending to Bitch and Sauce's website.
Why do we do that?
Yeah, that's crazy. Why would you send your own people to your competitor's website?
Yes. Why would you do that?
To expose lies.
Because we're confident our customers are smart enough to, see both sides of the story.
Sure.
Which we actually care about. I value that too. I want everyone to see both sides of the story.
Absolutely.
That's why I write my story. That's why I send people to my competitor's website.
Yep.
In the world of e-commerce, sending people to your competitor's website is the last thing you want to do. This is where a e-commerce coach would tell me I'm crazy because, what am I doing? Like in business, you don't do that. Anyway, we send people over there to get the full picture, words from their mouth, words from our mouth. You decide. But they took their story down.
That is weird. Like, if your story is the truth, why would you take it down?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Do you have an opinion on any of that?
Do I have an opinion?
Yeah.
I think that they were getting a lot of heat. I mean, I know of a few of our customers who have publicly posted responses from our sister to them of, because they cared. They wrote in and said, hey, like, this is what your brothers are saying, or whatever they wrote.
They're doing their due diligence.
They were doing their due diligence, and they got a response from our sister, and some of them posted it publicly, and it's heat. It's heat coming their way.
But even if you were getting heat, like
if it's the truth,
like reverse the roles.
Yeah.
Let's reverse it. Let's say Bitchin' is sending people, because obviously our story is, not the whole truth in their minds. It would be they would write it down.
Oh, they would write it exactly the same.
Yeah. So
if they thought it was that.
And I can say this with evidence that my sister thinks that we are lying.
Yes.
So let's reverse it.
Okay.
And let's say they're sending people because we're lying, and they care about, which I also have evidence of this, she cares that people get both sides of the story. So she sends people to us, to our website. Okay? And we're getting heat.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
If I'm getting heat,
Yeah, what are you going to do?
tell the truth?
Are you going to take down your story
No.
because you're getting heat?
I'm not taking down my story because I'm getting heat. It's the truth, so I'm going to speak the truth. Like, no, heat doesn't bother me. Well, I mean, we get a little heat,
Well, yeah.
Even based from our story, like from the people who are like, focus on your product, stop telling your story, So, we get heat, but the amount of people and the value of why we're doing what we're doing,
The value of the truth.
the value of the truth, the value of righteousness, the value of why we do what we do, so far exceeds any heat,
Yeah.
that I'm not going to bend
Yeah.
to someone who doesn't understand. No, I'll clear it up though, and give them 100%.
I see this is my opinion, I see this taking down of the story as a way to control a narrative. Because a narrative is something that is not backed up by facts. It's, it's a story, it's a figment of someone's imagination to control someone else's thinking.
Got you.
And
Yeah.
thus control their actions.
Got
So
you.
I think that there is the removal of the story from our old company's website, the altered story. Actually, the story changed, and I have all the evidence of this. It's very, very interesting. But the altered version of their story being removed is information control on our customers and their own customers.
Totally.
You know, a lot of their customers are now our customers. So we're both
That's true.
we are going for the same customer. But what a revealing move to hide your own truth, if it is the truth, from your customer. And put your story back up, please.
Yeah. Put your story up.
Put your story up.
wanna
And
see it.
if it's true, even better.
I want to see it.
I just want something. They won't do it.
Maybe they'll come up with a new one.
Oh, gosh, I welcome it. Please.
I've actually thought about this. Maybe they'll come up with one that actually does, that involves us in the beginning and shows proof of the beginning, but then also says there was a misunderstanding. You know, that would make sense. Based off of the other things that I've heard, but like then says there's a misunderstanding because if it's working on everybody else, maybe it'll work on the heat that they're getting. But that'll be just more good stuff to.
That's more birds flying out of the bush I get to shoot down. Gosh, I'm a lie hunter. I'm actually really excited. You know, as a bird hunter would walk around with a shotgun and an excited dog to work with in the upland, you know, hills. You know, these birds that fly around are harmless. That person who's hunting has full power, and I feel like that. I feel like
When you're shooting truth bombs at the lies.
and it's fun. So the more birds that fly, I'm going to have a great time with this. Now, that sounds, you know, really bad because this is my sister. I love my sister so much that I want to get all the lies off of her. Wouldn't anyone want to get all the lies off of somebody
Absolutely.
that they loved?
Yeah.
And they had the power to do it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is it going to hurt? I don't know.
It'll hurt. It depends on what you're talking about hurting.
Yeah.
Because I think that people are afraid of getting hurt by the truth. You know, because they've built. I mean, imagine building up a life around a misunderstanding, and it builds into relationships with the people closest to you, people you've hired, people who are depending on you, a whole business that has customers, and you build this whole thing, and imagine the truth getting in there, and then essentially this whole thing you've built, if the truth can take it down, then what are you left with? And what's wild is I think people are so afraid of losing everything like that. I mean, I've been in that situation personally where, you know, I was stuck in my own compromise, you know, in another situation. This just had to do with relationship stuff, but I was stuck in my own compromise, and, you know, I got to the point where I was like, I'll lose everything as long as I'm doing what's righteous and the truth. And what I realized, having come to, like, you know, that house of cards that I built falling down, was that I actually gained everything.
Yes.
So,
Amen.
so, anyways,
Well, I want
That's
to.
good.
I want.
I want to say something. I got something to say.
Say it.
One thing with the last thing I said regarding because they took down their story, and I don't think they're going to keep it down. I think it's being reworked personally. I think it's going to involve a misunderstanding. I think it's going to involve us too. I just want this on record.
Sure.
As the date that we're recording this, which is February 5th at 10:48. That's my prediction of what's coming next. Yeah. Because I don't think that. I kind of know. Do whatever you can to get out of the spotlight. Yeah. To not have it shine. So if that's working too currently with, people that they work with, why wouldn't it work with, our own customers who we're sending there?
Yeah. And we're still sending them there. Even though they've taken their story down, there is record of it on the internet from a third-party company. And now I'm sending, you can still see their altered version of the story, even though it's not currently on their website. It is, from an earlier version of their website.
Yep.
And that's on our website.
Go check it out.
So, summary of this first podcast. Why are we telling this story? We're telling this story because we are redirecting the legacy of our own families. We came from a family that called themselves the greatest family in the world.
That's truth.
And
we have evidence.
Had this big tree of splitting off limbs and all these branches of people and, grandchildren. And it's just this beautiful tree. And the fruit of this tree is what we're talking about right now. It is putrid.
It's rotten. And do you know why it's rotten?
Why?
Because of one thing called compromise.
Yes. So
there's a compromise.
The lifeblood of this tree.
The lifeblood of the tree is compromise for sake
That's
of
a whole podcast.
self. Yeah, this will be another one, but it's compromise. I'm just going to say it straight up so you know it's coming. It's compromise for the sake of self-preservation and relationship preservation, because relationship is king, relationship is love, relationship is nice. Don't send ripples. Don't like, if things get divided, that's bad.
Yeah.
And that's not love, that's not relationship. And that's what's valued. That's kind of where we came from in this family of what was valued. And we reached a point within the past 3 years or 2 years recently where I realized that if I continued down the same road of compromise, like I realized the fruit that we're eating right now, just in the family, the greatest family in the world, is the results of compromise. And if I make those same moves and continue to plant seeds of compromise, that my family, my own kids, my 3 kids, and myself will eat that fruit down the road. And so, both Porter and I have altered the trajectory of our legacies by drawing a line, and that line is on righteousness.
Yeah.
And seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, not preserving a relationship, not self-preserving, not
hiding your dirty laundry.
That
is the interesting part about this is we, telling our story, we got a little heat from our own mom.
Yep.
And our own mom said, like,
don't air your dirty
laundry. Don't air your dirty laundry.
Oh, no, our family's dirty laundry.
Yeah, our family's. I'm like, well, first of all, are you admitting that it's dirty? Because you're saying that you've been telling me that it's perfectly fine to do what you're doing, make the choices that you have. What we're doing is we're cleaning our laundry.
We're making it clean.
No one does that. You know what they do?
Run.
Throw it in the garage in a corner and it just molds over there. And they don't talk about it. It's dirty laundry. Airing dirty laundry is for everyone to see, has a little bit of that, revengeful style of thought pattern of bitterness, like, hey, look at this crap with no solution. We are cleaning the laundry. We are doing the laundry.
That's the truth. And boy, we need it.
And we're rooting out all this, all we're changing the lifeblood for our ongoing legacies. We are avoiding a repeat of this.
Absolutely.
We will not eat the same fruit.
Absolutely.
Like you said earlier, this is a rescue mission for not just. I believe we were rescued. I believe that everyone has the opportunity to be rescued who's involved or invested in any way. I'm going to rescue from the very center of this with my own sister. At least I'm gonna break the prison that she's in. Then she'll have the choice of what to do.
Sure.
But I'm going to rescue mission, break her out of her jail at the very center. The very center is me, actually. I was broken out of jail. Go out one ring, and you are one circle, and then you're rescuing the immediate family that where this all originated from. Mm-hmm. And then you go out another ring, and you're going to break everyone who was sucked in from the outside and imprisoned by lies. Mm-hmm. You're going to break their prison, and then they'll have a choice. They can choose to say they're sorry.
Sure.
Or they can choose to be silent and sit in the truth of the actions that they took. But the lies will be defeated.
Yep.
So it's a rescue mission for that ring or that circle of people.
Yep.
And then it's going to go out further, and I'm going to rescue every single customer that is in the prison of bitchin' slosh and eating that garbage. I'm going to rescue all of them. Yeah. And then the information outside of product, the story it just ripples out, and it's going to go, all the way around the world. Biggest circle.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, and even if people don't want to be rescued.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. It's like, what if they don't want to be rescued? What's interesting about this situation we find ourselves in is it's like unrepentant people, even when presented directly that, hey, this decision is wrong and off of God's righteousness, and then they won't hear you, and then being presented from multiple people that, hey, this is wrong and off of God's righteousness and not okay with this, and people still choosing to go down the path, and it remains to this day unrepented of. And so that's the element that is, it's just an interesting situation to be in, where that's actually what really drags on the story.
Yeah.
And we could be in the fruit of, we're in the fruit of peace and love and God's goodness and trust and all those things, but
they're good at night.
Yeah, but there's people out there who are still stuck in that unrepentant state, and they're reaping the fruit of it. And I do have hope, and I do believe the greatest days are ahead, and that there will be a sweeping rescue and victory.
Yes.
People, at least they're going to have the choice.
Well,
I can't control what they think, but at least they will have
we
the choice.
we have the power to give them the choice.
Yeah.
Truth is coming. It is powerful. Lies will be mocked. It will sound mean what I say about lies, because I hate lies.
Yeah, lies are silly.
I'm going to not only eventually destroy them, but I'm going to mock them. I'm going to hang them up publicly and make fun of them, which they should be. And if anyone thinks that a lie shouldn't be, mocked and then destroyed, I wholeheartedly disagree with you. You probably have some lies you don't want that to happen. But what will happen is we are going to get into, and we're going to make it juicy. And there's going to be...
I don't even have to make it juicy. It just is.
Well, it is, but I'm not holding back.
Yeah,
So-
we're going to be honest and raw
Yeah.
and transparent.
Yeah. I'm mean to lies. Like I said, I'm a lie hunter. I destroy them. I'm not mean to my sister. I love my sister. We're going to expose them all.
But what if the lie is a part of her identity?
Well, she better let go of that one. She'll go down with it. It's her choice.
Yeah, I know. Because then it's going to be, we've already seen hints of this,
Yeah.
She likes to say she's hurt.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, that is the truth.
That's probably the truth.
It is the truth. That's probably like one of the true things that is being said. She's hurt.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be handled.
Yeah. And like I said, we tried this many times when everything went down 10 years ago. We wanted to have a Christian mediation and do this privately. It was denied. Actually, that's where the rubber hits the road. Because I may be totally wrong, even though I have all these facts. I may be totally wrong. And I'm willing to lay out my entire life to be picked apart, ridiculed, and judged at any moment. And I'll bring what I got. To this day, we have not seen that from our sister and her husband. They're unwilling to lay it all out. So there's some juice coming, and it's going to be really fun.
Yep.
And in love, we will speak the truth.
Yep. It's great.
Okay. Thanks for listening to this first podcast. More to come.